Parliament. Rajiv Gowda is here, Ashraf Bhai, a lot of friends here. It's almost like I'm in a familiar room. Congratulations to you, Kapish, for getting this book out. You never got my book out, though. But wonderful to be here on this occasion, more so because Bharat and I studied together in some sense. The only thing is he completed his course, I didn't. But the good news is the dropouts of Harvard do better than the guys who complete their course. Not being arrogant there. But wonderful to see the recognition of the fact that India has arrived. That self-confidence, that can-do spirit that all young Indians have today is what defines it. There was a time when pessimism was so much in the air that almost everybody would deride our own community, deride our own country, would look at our own achievements with a lot of skepticism. It's great to see young on the back of high inflation, on the back of pump priming the economy with government support. More of a carry-on business attitude, which unfortunately may seem good in the short run, but never helps a country in the long run. As I glanced through this book, which Bharat was kind enough to send to me earlier, I realized he has recognized that unless we set our governance processes right, achieving numbers is not the end game. The numbers have to lead to happiness, have to lead to a better quality of life for the people of India. I know one of the chapters was titled, India has law, China has order. Very aptly said. We respect our democracy very deeply in India. The very fact that just today we have had a very free and fair election, electing Mr. Ramnath Kovind as the 14th President of India in a very orderly manner, legal of course, but also in a very orderly manner, is the strength of India. We just concluded a debate in Parliament in which a lot was said, a lot was discussed, accusations, a lot of comments, remarks, some side remarks, all of that happened. But it was all in the spirit of a healthy debate, save and except, I think, one or two sentences or some poetic comments made by an honourable MP, which even Rajiv would not approve of. Forget anybody else. But that's the true strength of our Indian democracy. And an 18 trillion or a $38 trillion economy without the strength of democracy is something I would not be very excited about. The fact that we can air our views, the fact that we can argue, we can debate, we can agree to disagree on more things than one would imagine is truly the strength which helps bring to this nation a future where all of us will get an equal opportunity for success, towards success. In fact, we are right into the launch of the GST 20 days now. And who could have imagined such an orderly introduction of the world's biggest transformation ever embarked by any country in the world on tax reform? And in a country where we receive a lot of delegations which tell us, look, so many people don't know even how to use a computer. Many are intimidated by the system of keeping records, etc., etc. But look at the orderly way in which the whole reform, and it's transformative what is happening on GST, has been introduced in the country, has been accepted by the citizens of India. Everybody has concerns, and when you plan for such a massive change, clearly it's not going to be an easy changeover. All of us know when we are setting up even a small program like today's, I'm sure Bharat and his team must have gone through enough concerns and issues. Is the seating right? Is the seating enough? Will the hall be full? Will there be all of these repetitions? We all plan everything to the best of our ability, but who knows, I may have never landed up today at all. Who knows, the rain god may have given us so much rain today that half of our room could not have landed up here today. Uncertainties, difficulties keep coming in our life. But what is important is our ability to plan for the best, execute well, and then persevere. We go ahead, keep taking on challenges as they come along, converting every crisis into an opportunity. I mean, if I hadn't come, possibly it would have been a great opportunity to have Ambassador Hiramatsu give a much more erudite talk about how Japan has been able to do all that it has in the last 60, 70 years. Japan and India became independent around the same time. And a lot of other similarities, rich culture, rich heritage, high density of population. Imagine soon after the nuclear attacks, the kind of problems that Japan had faced. A large agrarian economy at that point of time, today converted into probably one of the most industrialized nations in the world. On a lighter note, not to be quoted anywhere, with problems, very similar problems on certain issues. I think I should not elaborate on that. All of you will understand what the elephant in the room was or is in both countries. But look at how both countries went down different paths. A country could take its economy to great heights. People would have a high income level in that country. They moved on one path of development, we moved around another path of development, and the results are there for all of us to see. But should that become a deterrent? Should that become something that we keep crying over? Or is there a time for course correction? The J curve that Bharat Joshi's company reflects or talks about has possibly arrived. Gone are the days of high trade deficits, gone are the days of high inflation, uncertain values of Indian currency, acquisitions and large amounts of concerns of foreign investors about the future of their investments or the safety of their investments in India. We've had our fair share of issues in the past. But when collectively the entire nation comes on one platform, decides to introduce GST, which to my mind is not a legacy of the BJP government or the Modi government or Prime Minister Modi or Mr. Jaitley alone. It's a shared legacy of the entire country of 1.2 billion people. After all, imagine unanimous approval of the constitutional amendment and consequent laws in both houses of parliament. except one party in Tamil Nadu, unanimous, and one party in Jammu Kashmir, unanimous approval across the country of the various laws that were to be made in different states. And to take the argument forward, it's not only about parties which are in government in different states, maybe as coalitions or on their own, but even if a party has just one MLA in any one legislature in the whole country, by and large they have also supported GST. That is the strength of India, the collaborative and cooperative federalism. That is the strength of India. The fact that what is good for India will always find universal acceptance cutting across party lines. We can continue to bicker and fight politically. That's a part of the political system. Some of you should come and see Parliament once the cameras are off. It's really a pleasure. You'll actually start missing what you see on television otherwise. But, and sometimes it's often discussed that maybe we should have, like in many other countries, I think America shows the parliamentary proceedings, but Britain only has a 1-hour capsule possibly at the end of the day. And I think it may be a matter of debate which Dr. Qureshi can start. UK's life, I don't know which was the country I was studying which said that it's a 1-hour capsule at the end of the day, because running the whole parliament the whole day, and I promise you, I have seen speakers who instead of addressing the chair, often are looking up at the camera and talking. And I can tell Rajiv privately some of those things. So, this is a country where there have been occasions where politics has overtaken good economics. But by and large, when it's national interest, when an issue in public interest, this country is able to rise above political or ideological differences, work for the benefit of society, and in some sense, at least our government shares the J-curve motto of a deep insight into the way things are done, promoting investments into the country, and better implementation of whatever is planned in the country. The 3 I's that J-curve often talks about. And when we talk about navigating India, I think navigation would be something like sailing or steering somebody towards a direction. And to steer something in a direction, I think we all need a compass. And usually the compass points to the north. But I think if one was to look at the international situation today, the compass of investments across the world is looking up to India. Where else will you have 1 billion people aspiring for a better quality of life? Where else is a market opportunity as big as India, waiting for new technologies, willing to absorb new ideas, willing to embark on scale? In my own sector, I have experienced when we launched the LED bulbs program. Look at the massive response we got from across the country. So probably India would be the first country in the world which will go 100% LED by 2019, faster than even smaller countries which have not been able to turn half their country as energy efficient lighting nations. Good news is that now we are selling our LED bulbs in the United Kingdom. We've opened office in London with a target to sell 100 million bulbs in the next 1.5 years in London. And we're getting good traction. And India has the opportunity to now lead the world in whichever activity we take up. India's efforts or tryst with the solar power sector has brought solar power prices down to historic lows. Unheard of lows. When we look at our own growth in the mobile telephony sector, probably other than China, nobody else has had such a fast ramp up as India has been able to do with such attractive pricing. Of course, the way mobile prices are going, I'm getting very worried about electricity pricing in the future, because there was some report that that organization in California, Sustainability or whatever, they have predicted that electricity is going to be free after 10 years. I just hope I'm not the power minister when that happens. But the world is changing, the world is evolving. And India today is at that cusp where each one of you in this room will have to decide and define the future of India, because this is a room of influential people. This is a room of people who can actually make a difference to the future of India. We can make a difference in several ways. We can make a difference in our own ability or our own contributions to the economy of India. But we can also make a difference by being thought leaders or opinion makers in the country, to get the people galvanized to think of an honest society, a completely corruption-free economy. And on many occasions during the GST debate, I've had this argument with traders or business community or industry, some of whom have been pleading that they should be kept out of the GST network. And I've tried to explain that this is that one great opportunity to de-bureaucratize the entire tax system. It's a great opportunity to completely turn legit in our businesses. In fact, the good news for all of you, and by and large this room has more people either at my age or older than me, but the good news for all of us in this room is that wherever I said GST provides that golden opportunity to completely change the way we did business in the past in India, completely go legit, the maximum support we received was from the youth of India, from the youngsters in any audience. The Prime Minister on 1st of July was addressing chartered accountants and the students pursuing the CA course in Delhi. Of course, some 50,000-60,000 people turned up. We had not imagined half of them coming there. And he was actually knocking the knuckles of all of us chartered accountants that day. If any of you heard that speech, you may recall that. But the students who were there all across that stadium, the young guys, the young boys and girls, they were cheering incessantly, because they want to wake up in a new India where honesty is the buzzword. They don't want to do business like their grandparents or parents did. While there are dignitaries from outside India, so Hindi may be a little difficult to pull through, though Kapish did manage a few sentences. But ek kachi kitab, ek pakka hisab, nobody wants all of that anymore. You know, one formal register, one informal book of accounts. People want to move out of that. People want to do business legitimately. Of course, I've been reading your articles, Dr. Qureshi. I think I must come and have a conversation with you about political party funding. That's another source of corruption in the country. And we are trying to bring in an opportunity for people to participate in the political spectrum, yet remain anonymous, but ensuring that clean money comes into politics, into public life. Otherwise, unfortunately, given the political dynamics of the country, there's a large section of people who want to participate in clean politics, in honest politics, but are scared of repercussions. They don't want to identify themselves as having donated to politics, for which we are trying to build out an alternate mechanism. So that, and ultimately you can't wish away politics. One would love to see that you can fight an election without any funds, but it's not going to happen in a hurry in India. We have to wait for that day. And for that, should we continue to allow illegitimate money to feed political parties? Or should we find device mechanisms by which honest money can help us run political parties? And if we can create tax structures or government processes which are transparent, system-driven, process and procedure-driven, and eliminate corruption on that end of governance and ensure political party funding comes out of clean, honest money, coupled with widening the tax base that GST has planned to do, to my mind, it will not be long before India sees a completely honest economy, a society where everybody is willing to pay their taxes, a nation where tax rates can be brought down significantly to make it even more attractive for people to pay their taxes honestly. And to my mind, that is going to be one of the most important determinants to actually reach this $18 trillion opportunity, not in a very distant future, but at least certainly I would like to see that happen in my lifetime. And something which to my mind is not impossible, because we have people like Bharat who are willing to articulate how this can be done. We have these young boys and girls in this country who are willing to work towards that. In this book, he has talked about what it takes to succeed in India, for businessmen to succeed in India. And I think the paradigm is changing. The rules of the game are changing. After all, you couldn't have seen FDI increase from $36 billion 3 years ago to over $60 billion in a situation where there's not too much of investments happening on the ground. We have all seen that this is a period where we are trying to clean up the mess that was accumulated over several years. It is that J-curve moment. I've said it on earlier occasions. And ultimately, when you are trying to develop a long sustaining framework of good governance, it's similar to developing a 100-story skyscraper building, for which you need a big solid foundation. And to build that solid foundation, you need to clean the muck, take out dig a big hole, take out all the muck from that, park that muck, dispose of that muck, so that you can build a solid foundation on which you can create a sustaining framework for the long-term growth and development of the country. In that fashion, I believe we have used the last 3 years well to clean a lot of the accumulated baggage or muck that over decades had got accumulated, and which somebody had to someday take on all the way. And I think it's time where we can see an economy which will provide opportunity to more and more people, equal opportunity to more and more people to live, work, earn an honest day's living, improve the quality of life of his family, his society, and take India into that golden age that each one of us has craved to see for years. There are so many illustrious business persons, so many illustrious government servants or bureaucrats in this room who have spent a lifetime serving this nation, honestly, dedicated, with the highest sincerity, but who often feel let down by what has happened, often feel incomplete when they are trying to draw up their balance sheet at the end of an illustrious 35, 40-year career. I think the time has come for all of us to unitedly see, work together to see how we can change that. And I've often been interacting with illustrious people like Dr. Qureshi, like Vinod Raiji, and I can feel that angst in them, that is this country really headed in the right direction? And to my mind, the time is right where we can all take pride in what is happening in India, participate wholeheartedly to navigate India to a better future, to more happiness, a better future for every citizen of this country. And in this journey, I'm sure friends like Bharat will keep guiding us through their expositions, through their thoughts. I'm sure we will continue to get the sage advice and guidance from all of you, esteemed ladies and gentlemen in this room. We welcome ideas, we welcome suggestions, we learn from mistakes, we learn from history. But one thing I can say, that India has the ability, India has everything going right for it. What we need to do is have that positive can-do spirit. Once we take that, imbibe that spirit in ourselves, I don't think any power on earth can stop India from achieving glorious heights and meeting this challenge of an $18 trillion opportunity. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, sir, for those inspiring and insightful words. And now we move into the panel discussion.